What's up, everybody? Today I checked my blood sugar, and guess what? It is 125. That is perfect. And the reason I say it's perfect is because my target blood sugar is, and has been for 20 years, 120. The reason that it's 120 is because that is right in the middle of the range of blood sugars that normal people will have. Typically, it's somewhere between about 70 and 150, approximately. If you are feeling a little bit low, you're feeling a little bit tired, you haven't eaten a lot, your blood sugar might be hanging around 70 or 80, and you'll start feeling the same symptoms that I do when my blood sugar goes low. If you're running around like 150, maybe you just chugged a big milkshake, you had a big dinner, something like that. But what's happening is as your blood sugar starts to rise, your pancreas is making insulin to lower your blood sugar automatically. Mine doesn't do that, so it can just go up and up and up and up and up and up, and that can get really dangerous, as I talked about in the last couple episodes. So what does it mean for a diabetic if the blood sugar is running perfectly well? It basically means I can do normal things. I can eat whatever I want. I don't have to take quite as much insulin, which can be painful. It can be dangerous. It can be complicated to manage your blood sugars because the more insulin you take, the more fluctuation that you might be dealing with later on, the harder it is to keep your blood sugars stable. So if they're already on target, it's usually pretty easy to keep them on target as long as you're not eating a lot of crazy things or doing a crazy amount of exercise or something like that. If you're just kind of, everything in moderation, your blood sugars will probably stay relatively normal. That said, if you want to do something crazy like eat a whole bunch of pancakes for breakfast, or if you're about to go play a football game or something like that, you might actually want your blood sugar to be a little bit higher before exercise, and you want it to be a little bit lower if you're going to load up on a bunch of carbs. But if your blood sugar is really high, you're not really able to do any of those things. So to give you guys like the simplest example possible, if my blood sugar were any higher than it is right now, I probably couldn't have like a glass of orange juice with breakfast, because that would just make my blood sugar go higher and it would be hard to bring it down. But because my blood sugar is 120, if I wanted to splurge a little bit and have some orange juice with breakfast, I would be able to do that. If it were any higher, it would just be impossible. If it were any lower, I would have to have a glass of orange juice with breakfast in order to bring the blood sugar back up, depending on what else I'm eating. So for example, if I'm having a carb heavy breakfast, something like pancakes or waffles or something like that, that orange juice is a little extra. You know what I mean? I don't need that because all those carbs are already going to bring my blood sugar up, and I probably just wouldn't take extra insulin for it, especially if I'm going to drown that kind of stuff in syrup. Stay tuned for the next video so I can tell you guys about what things would be like if my blood sugar were high. So if my blood sugar were high and I'm about to eat breakfast, that means that I'm going to have to eat something really protein heavy so that it doesn't shoot up my blood sugar 8 million points. You know what I mean? So typically I usually have a high protein breakfast anyway, just because I like eggs and I like bacon and stuff like that. That doesn't have a lot of carbs, so I can eat that stuff regardless of what my blood sugar is. But if my blood sugar is low, then I have to add in a glass of orange juice or something like that. But if it's high, the best thing to eat is something like a lot of protein, so that all those carbohydrates don't make the blood sugar higher. They just give a chance, not eating carbohydrates gives the insulin a chance to lower your blood sugar, to stabilize it again, and then you can start eating carbs again. I know this stuff is super complicated, but I'm just taking it one video at a time with you guys, and hopefully, this is educational and teaching you guys a little bit more about, what it's really like to live and manage type 1 diabetes.